Good afternoon, everyone, for Tuesday, February 16th. You'll note from my background, I have moved out of my frigid basement into my wife's kind of workroom. You can see her lovely cross stitch behind me. So I'm trying to stay warm up here for the day, and I hope everyone else is staying warm. Got a couple things to cover. I'll touch a couple of budget hearings, and then my colleagues can fill you in on a couple of other items. Oh, and I need to start our timer just to make sure we're keeping this reasonably manageable. The Senate Education Committee today began talking about the Department of Education budget. This is the bill, or this is the budget that provides really almost all of the main school finance formulas and other provisions. You may know, of course, that Governor Kelly has recommended funding base state aid and other programs as part of the Gannon plan, but really no other enhancements. That's drawn some criticism. We'll see whether any of that changes in discussion. They plan to take more talking and action tomorrow in the Senate committee. This afternoon, the House K-12 Budget Committee heard an overview and then received the presentation from the Department of Education also on the budget. Committee had a lot of questions, again, kind of around this. Well, there's some really good ideas. Why didn't Governor Kelly recommend them? And of course, that's not really up to the Department of Ed to explain. The hearing for that, which KSB plans to testify at, is tentatively scheduled for Monday, the 22nd. However, because that is Senator Bud Estes' funeral day, it's possible that we will be pushed back. But if you want to comment on any budget items that the governor included or didn't include, that is your opportunity to do so. The committee is welcoming that testimony. Thursday, the committee is going to continue meeting with Department of Ed officials and members of the State Board of Education for kind of their ongoing discussion about learning sites, hybrid learning, those kinds of issues. So that's kind of how I spent my afternoon. Leah, I think you listened to the House Education
I
Committee.
did. They had a discussion around school mental health needs. They heard some presentations from school social workers, school counselors, school psychologists around what the needs are and what their recommendations would be to the legislature. You know, all of the conferees noted that there were some pretty severe needs pre-COVID around school mental health issues, and those have continued and been exacerbated by the pandemic. And so they asked the legislature to support even more mental health professionals in schools.
Yeah, that mental health issue is one that is coming up in both of these budgets because Governor Kelly did not recommend expansion of the program. There is discussion about whether federal aid can be used for mental health services. It certainly can, and that is expected. But part of the discussion in the House committee is that, of course, is one-time money, so you
Right.
can't really build it in to make these programs permanent. And I think that's part of what the discussion will be. Scott, anything happened today that you want to comment on?
Well, and also on the governor's budget, her allotment took about almost $4 million from that program, and so the State Department of Education is appealing to the committees to
Right.
kind of reinstate that money. And I guess, I was listening in the K-12, and there were committee members just kind of asking, well, why did the governor do this? So I guess they're trying to find out some answers on that.
Yeah.
On the other front, a couple of days ago, the Senate President Ty Masterson, or actually the Senate committee, the Senate Education Committee, introduced Senate Bill 235, I believe, which
Yes,
would
235.
require all schools in Kansas to be to provide an option of in-person learning by March 26th, which is right around the corner. And Senate President Ty Masterson, I caught an interview with him on the radio where he was talking about this bill, and he said he thinks if it passed, well, he says it would pass if they choose to advance this bill, and it would probably pass with huge majorities that would overcome any kind of veto. And he also said the bill may be used as just a signal to get all the districts in person by March 26th. So we're hearing a lot of concern from legislators, and this may be one of those shots across the bow kind of bill.
That was absolutely part of the discussion today in the House
Yes, it was.
committee. I'd expect to hear it in the Senate committee. I guess our only advice is, number one, of course, to remind people that most of our districts are open in person, have been open, or at least are partially open, or in a hybrid environment. But what decisions those local leaders have made, boards, I know you get tired of hearing us say this, you've got to be explaining to your legislators and taking the opportunity of testimony to talk about why you've made the decisions you've made and what you believe is outweighing getting kids back in school, which we know is everyone's top concern. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. Leah, there's a couple of hearings coming up, one in House Local Government and another in House Commerce.
Yes, in House Commerce, we have submitted written testimony in favor of the Kansas Promise Scholarship Act. It's the it's the companion to the Senate bill that essentially says the state will help support kids who are seeking further advancement in high demand careers. So, kids who are doing the CTE pathways and wanting to advance their education in those career areas that are in high demand. And then in local government, we're supporting a bill that would remove a monetary cap on donations that people, or I suppose businesses, could make to a school district and or to a local city to help build or furnish public libraries. And so, of course, we support that. Public libraries are good. It's part of the community education infrastructure, and we think that removing any kind of monetary cap on that certainly is a good step. If people want to donate funds to their public library and have it be kind of coordinated by the school district or the city, we're certainly in favor of that.
Looking ahead to just a few other things this week on Thursday, and so these have been pushed back a day or two from the earlier plan. Senate Education is going to have a hearing on Senate Bill 173, which is a multi-pronged bill dealing with at-risk funding and extending the high density at-risk. So we're going to be supporting that bill, although we would prefer to see high density at-risk made permanent. This would at least extend it, and it does some things to respond to an audit now, I guess, 2 years old on at-risk funding. Friday, the committee is scheduled to have a hearing on a bill that would simply make the at-risk weighting permanent, and a bill in the Senate, the same as a House bill, that directs school boards to allocate resources to achieve the state education goals. Very non-controversial, except it invariably seems to raise questions about why districts are not getting more money to the classroom, a common criticism. And of course, we would simply point out that the mental health program that everyone thinks is wonderful and should be expanded is not considered dollars to the classroom under the state's accounting system. And so school districts actually should be cutting those to get more dollars to the classroom, if you follow that logic. So that's why we're going to be opposing that. Okay, I think that about wraps up our time today. I would just note that next week is the last week before, the last week really for most committees to be having hearings before everything will go to the floor and we come up on the turnaround deadline. So the session is moving along, new bills coming in all the time. We'll have a description up tomorrow of another set of new bills that have come in, and we'll be watching for hearings to be scheduled this week and next week. As always, if you got questions, give us a call. Thank you, guys.